The Betrayal Chapter 2. I hear laughter around me as the sun gets noticeably more bright against my closed eyes. She's so cute. I hear one voice giggling. Quiet, you're gonna wake her up. Star's voice rang out along with the others. Well, it's about time she woke up. It's almost noon. As I continued to drift away from unconsciousness, I realized Sierra was the one who said that. Maddie spoke before Star. Come on, I miss you guys. Can't we wake her up now? Cassie mumbled. I feel something soft hit my nose and bounce off. I flinch and groan. We can wake her up normally. Don't throw berries at her. Star yells. I laugh softly, sitting up. You threw a berry at me? My eyes squint against the harsh afternoon sun. They all go quiet as they look at Cassie, ratting her out. I couldn't help but laugh as I shook the sleep from my body. When did you all get here, anyway? I say, glancing at Star, knowing she probably woke up super early to gather everybody. Star came and got us about an hour ago, Cassie said, grabbing the bag of berries and eating a few more. I smile as the breeze runs against my arms, my usually messy hair just becoming messier. I glance back at the sweater bunched up behind me that I used as a pillow. I saw Maddie's eyes drawn to something beside me before Sierra had all of our attention. So, how was flying all the way here? Everyone else looked at her confused, except me. I just thought Star told her before I noticed everyone else, that is. What? I don't see your mom anywhere. Was it a bad guess or a really good one? I smile and stretch. My back popped in one of the most satisfying ways. It was hard, and a lot of energy, but hey, we made it in a day, so I'll count that as a win, I say, smiling triumphantly. You really flew all the way here? Cassie said, leaning forward. I know you're a demon, but that must have taken everything out of you. Oh, it did. Star seemed noticeably upset at my truthful answer. But it was worth it, and totally Star's idea. I laugh as she pushes my shoulder. It was not. I actually advise against it. Like you said, I'm a goody two-shoes who doesn't want to get in trouble. Or have you gotten hurt because you never learn? She hits my arm softly as I laugh, the others laughing as well. How long did it take? Maddie said softly, her mind seemingly elsewhere. About... Star looks up at me, thinking for a minute. 7 hours, just like I thought. 8 with the breaks, I remind her. And she rolls her eyes. How's your new place? You moved to the big city, right? Sierra grabbed the bag of berries from Cassie and moved it closer to us, knowing we hadn't eaten anything but granola bars and packed sandwiches from yesterday. It's nice. We already made friends, Star said, smiling wide. And enemies, I added, snickering and grabbing a raspberry. Well, they're nice to us now, so I'd say they count as friends. And you're a big brat when you're tired, you know. I snicker at her angry tone before noticing her bright smile. There was an oddly silent pause before Maddie spoke up once again, saying something that was on everyone's mind. Has any other fights happened? The way her voice shook when she asked only made my mood drop. I could tell in her voice she was terrified of the answer. I know I scared them when I confessed, even if it was to protect us, but the impact I made on them, or at least Maddie, was much worse than I hoped. I take a small breath in and smile at her. Yeah, what? Her face turns from concern to fear. Hey, don't worry, no one was killed. Kind of hurt to see the amount of relief that brought to everyone's faces. You almost were, Star said, her low voice making me flinch as she turned away from me. Yeah, but like hell I was gonna let him throw a damn knife at you! I yelled, almost angry at her for not realizing how much danger she was in. The others stared dumbfounded at us. A what? Cassie said, breaking the tension between Star and me. Yeah, a knife. He tried to stab us. He was so much worse than Jason and Devin. I didn't realize the hatred that filled my now darkened eyes as I continued to explain. And it was just to get to me, not even anything against Star. I take a breath, calming down, and rub between my eyes as silence falls among us. But they realized what they did was wrong, and it was his fault, but he explained to me that he was in the wrong. Actually, it was kind of funny. They apologized when they were planning to finish the job, if you know what I mean. I laughed nervously, rubbing the back of my neck. They sat there staring at me for a minute, and then a few minutes, before it was just too much to sit there awkwardly as they took in all of what I said. Is that why you have that scar? Maddie said, pointing to my arm. I glanced at my arm, not even remembering the scars I got out of that fight until now. It showed just a little below my t-shirt. Yeah. I rolled up my sleeve, showing them the deep scar about 2 inches in length that ran up my arm. And there's this one. I glanced at Star, seeing her expression turn from almost anger to sadness as I moved the collar of my shirt to show a scar, much like the one on my arm, in the middle of my chest. The scar tissue was healed in a bubbly way as my magic struggled to close the wound off that day. But anyway, that's enough questions for you guys, I say, turning and grabbing my sweater to put it on. My body was shaking slightly from the thought of them staring. What's with Ava? Star seemed more attentive when I mentioned her name. Yeah, we saw her at the gas station yesterday. She seemed so... Star mumbled, trying to find the right words. Different, I said, finishing her sentence so the others could give us answers. Oh, God, Sierra said, groaning and running her hand through her hair. The others looked away with guilt and remorse in their expressions. I hoped you wouldn't have to deal with her again. I stared dumbfounded at her. How could she talk about our previous friend in such an unkind manner? Sure, she was a little hurtful or spiteful in her questions, but she wasn't that bad. There's something you really should know about. Sierra seemed to purposefully draw on, not wanting to say what was going on. Cassie seemed like she wanted to spill it, but was unsure how to say it. And Star sat there quietly. She almost looked unfazed, like she knew this was going to happen. Cassie gave one more glance at Sierra, who had gone silent. She created an organization against you. She said something along the lines of getting rid of your demon. We only hope she meant just that, and not killing me, I mumbled. I felt my protective magic flare to my palms. How? My eyes turned black, anger filling my senses. How could she? I trusted her! Brat, Star mumbled beside me. I glanced at her, noticing her as angry as I was. Tears welled up in my eyes, thinking about how I'll have to protect Star from someone we called a friend. My body shook, and before I knew it, I had pulled my knees close to my chest, pain surging through my spine as my demon form took over. I was doing everything I could to ground myself, but I didn't realize I was just blocking out the helpful back rubs from Star. The gentle voices of our friends trying to calm me down, and the soft wind blowing against my wings and horns. My wings curled around me as I tried to block it all out, almost hoping I was just dreaming still. My tail was tight around my leg. She was our friend. I glared at the ground, thoughts racing in my head. I felt my body shaking more and more as I thought about how she could betray me like this. She knew I had to protect Star. She knew I wouldn't do anything to hurt them. The group went silent after a few minutes. My shaking calmed down, and I hadn't realized I had burnt my jeans once again as the protective fire was forced to stay under my skin. I started noticing red marks on my palms when this happened. It almost grounded me enough to realize that I was doing okay. Star's soft voice rang through my ears as the wind calmed down. It's okay. We're gonna get through this. You're okay. I started to take notice of her hand against my back. You're safe here. I promise you're safe with us. My shaking calmed down, and eventually I pulled my wings back, as everyone patiently waited for me to calm down. I can't imagine how much that hurts, Cassie said softly, glancing at my hands, and then at my burnt jeans. Not as much as my spine does when my magic decides to burst out like that, I groaned. I think you do a good job at controlling it, though. I can't believe she's doing this, but I'm sure it'll be okay. I mean, only we know about the demon anyway. She'd look crazy. Star and I stiffened up at Maddie's words. We glanced at each other, and before I stood up, I spread my wings out, ignoring the others' questions as I turned away from the group. Star sat there, looking up at me worried, and I was getting angrier by the second, and I didn't want to hurt anyone if I snapped. What did I say? Maddie says, saddened as I open my wings, taking off towards anywhere but here. Our whole school knows, Star said softly, groaning. Oh, no, Maddie said. As I fly, I feel my wings tingling with pain, their complaints ringing through my back from yesterday, worn out and stretched. I couldn't help but oblige their complaints and land on the roof of our old house. Pain ringing through my body as I rolled, too sore and too tired to land well. I roll onto my back, looking at the clouds. Hatred towards Ava flowed through my veins as I lay there in a tight pain. But after a while, I calmed down. Looking at the clouds, they passed over me, almost peacefully quiet, just the laughter of our friends in the distance. I shoot upwards, looking towards them. Oh god, I forgot about them. I ran off like a baby again. I opened my wings, flying off the roof towards them. Guys, I'm so sorry, I yell, running towards them the moment my feet hit the ground. Hey, it's okay. I don't mind letting you cool off for a bit. I remember you telling us about how hard it is to control that side of you, Maddie said softly, walking up towards me. Especially after finding out about Ava. I sigh. The thoughts that raced through my head calmly shook instead. I nod and smile at them, making my wings disappear and returning to my normal human form. Any other information you guys might have? I tried to hide the angry tone in my voice. It wasn't directed towards them, and they didn't deserve it, but God, did it feel right to yell at them for letting this happen. They were around her so much more. She told me the most, Sierra mumbled, looking around the group. They nodded, agreeing with her. So, I'll tell you all I know. She found a spellbook in the library. One we thought was a joke, but apparently it's not. The cover read something about demons. Demons? Spells and knowledge? I questioned. It was one of the few that I was given from Mom. They were Dad's, and after we moved, she didn't want them in her office anymore. Yeah, that sounds right. I groaned, knowing it was a true spellbook. But she planned to move to the big city to try and hunt you down. She could notice me getting angry. Her hesitance was growing. Please, just tell me. I'm not gonna get mad, I mumbled, grounding myself as Star leans against me. She's already recruited a few people from numerous schools to keep an eye out. Most were exchange students, some were new to the area. Sierra seemed to go over her thoughts. About 10, I think, last time we talked. There was a pain in my back as my magic was forced down. I glanced at Star, who seemed to be lost in thought before fear struck her features. Ira, she mumbled. I stare at her, almost terrified. You don't think... She looks up at me. Do any of you have a phone? I panicked, looking between the group. Cassie fumbled in her pocket before accidentally throwing the phone at me as she ripped it out of her pocket. I catch it and quickly dial Ira's number. Is it bad I don't want you to call her? Because I don't want to know the answer, Star said, forcing a small smile. I shake my head as she picks up. Ira, hey! I start, panicking for the words I need to say. Oh my god, Emma, hi! How is it there? Did you guys get there safely? How are your old friends? What are they like? I groan as she yells through the phone, her hyper voice making the others smile a bit. It's great, they're all great. Listen, there's something really bad I found out about, I say as I get her attention. What's wrong? Her hyper voice went from concern faster than I would have thought. It almost made me relieved, like it was already the answer we hoped for. One of our old friends created an organization against us. Well, against me. There was silence from the other side of the phone. The normally overreactive friend was silent now. Star and I looked at each other, our hearts sinking as our friends all looked at the phone. Ira. My hand shook as I held the phone. You are part of it, aren't you? There was a soft sigh on the other side of the phone. Yeah, but you protected me. You protected the school against Clinton. You weren't bad like she said, and you didn't even try and kill anyone. You tried your hardest not to even hurt him, Ira said, rambling and trying to make up for it. I took a sharp breath in before letting it out. Star put her hand on my shoulder. I wouldn't do anything to hurt you guys, I promise. She seems so cruel. I don't think she has the right idea about you. Ira continued to talk. I didn't realize how angry I had gotten. The soft feeling of happiness from her words was drowned out by the rage that I felt. The feeling of being betrayed by more than one person I called a friend. Star gently put her hand on mine, lowering the phone to the ground, half forcing me to set it down before I broke it. Emma, Star? Ira spoke softly. She was just a spy for Ava's plans, a spy to kill me. A spy. My eyes light up as I shake off the anger filling my shaking body. I pick up the phone, my eyes black as I speak with some mixture of hatred and happiness. Be a double agent, I blurt out. There's a silence that was almost unbearable before I continued. We are a double agent. Figure out her plans. Don't let her know so we can fix this. Star looked at me, almost like I was crazy. If I know anything about that spellbook she has, she's dangerous, and I don't want to know what she'd do to you if you weren't on board with her plans. Then I can keep both of you safe, Ira yelled. Her excitement in her tone made me smile as she got closer to the phone again. Yeah, I can do that. I'd do anything to keep you guys safe. You saved me, and now it's my chance to save you. My body still shook. Like the excitement only made how angry I was worse, adrenaline pumping my magic through my veins. There was a pause, another voice from her side of the phone. Hey, dinner's almost ready, her mom's voice called out. Oh, I have to go. We'll need to talk more about this when you guys get back. Ira hung up the phone before we could reply. I stared at it for a second, trying to make sense of the emotions running through me, before giving it back to Cassie and sighing. It was a forced sigh as I tried to let go of at least most of the emotions. I really hope you know what you're doing, Maddie said softly. We all glanced at her before the others hesitantly nod. Ava has been planning this for a while, and only you know what's in that spell book, but... She pauses, unable to find the words. If magic to get rid of a demon from somebody's body exists, who knows what other magic or spells are out there? Cassie said, sitting a bit more forward. I cringed, thinking about what could go wrong, and then overthinking. If she's trying to possibly kill me, what could she do to others? Let's find something to get our mind off of all of this, Star said softly, smiling at me. How about a rematch at the races? Maddie's eyes lit up as she stood up, dusting herself off and looking at me with a big smile. Well, what do you say? She said, helping me up. I nod, matching her competitive smile.